call the meeting to order. I'd like to ask Mr. Hasbell to lead us in invocation and pledge.
Please join me. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the ability to gather. Thank you for all the blessings you give us, and thank you for this wonderful county you've let us live in. Thank you for the honor of letting us serve the people of this county. We ask for your strength, your wisdom, and your guidance as we make decisions that affect so many lives. And we ask your continued blessings on those here with us and your safety over us all. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any additional corrections to the agenda?
The minutes, Mr. Chairman, I need to pull those and we'll have those next time.
Okay,
Next board meeting. Thank you.
so that will be item H.
And yes, sir, item H.
Move to adopt the agenda for item H.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as printed, removing item H. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, we'd like to welcome any visitors tonight. This would be a time for public comment. Thank you all for being here. This would be a time for public comment. If anyone would like to come forward, this would be your opportunity.
Just introduce yourselves.
Yes.
Yes.
Why not?
They're here back.
That's
I'm Melissa Jo Strickland. I'm in Ms. Schiller's government class. I'm 12th grade. I'm Shelby Strickland. I'm in Ms. Schiller's civics class and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Kathleen Strickland. I'm in Ms. Schiller's civics class in 8th grade.
All right. We're glad y'all are here.
That's what school they're from.
Yeah.
And some of you are weightlifters, I understand, too. Doing quite well, so. All right.
Districts.
You gotta say that again? What are you doing tomorrow?
We go to districts tomorrow.
Good
Good
luck.
luck.
Congratulations.
Okay, if I don't hear any other public comments, we'll move on to item D, which is our class size compliance plan. And that'll be Mr. Corey Bennett.
Good evening, everyone. As you may know, we are constitutionally required, like all Florida public school districts, to comply with class size maximums, and if not, face a financial penalty. Because all of our schools are schools of choice, that class size is calculated at the school average for core courses. And it's something that is also divided into 3 grade bands. Pre-kindergarten through 2nd grade, with a class size maximum requirement of 18. Grades 3 through 8 for the class size maximum of 22, and grades 9 through 12 with a class size maximum of 25. We report class size in both the October and the February FTE, but the one that really matters for compliance and financial penalty is October. So I'm here to report we actually did fairly well this year. We only had, in the end, one school that had 1 grade band that was out of compliance. When we began, when we began the process this year, we had something like 6 schools, and several had multiple grade bands. And I want to commend the work of the administrators and data folks of the schools. They worked hard and were able to get our numbers down in the vast majority of our schools. The one we were left with was not a surprise. It is Yankeetown School, and it's only in their pre-kindergarten to 2nd grade band. Their, as you may recall, the maximum there is 18, and their average ended up at 19.2. So they were just barely over. Yankeetown has been over in class size for a couple of years in the same grade band, and it's somewhat of a result, in my opinion, because it's such a small school. There's so few classes to calculate in that average that it gives you very little wiggle room. And they're kind of caught in what you could almost call a donut hole. They have slightly more students in those grade levels than what's required by their class size maximum, but they don't have quite enough to fund another teacher in any of those. So that's kind of what we're doing with that. So we do have an out from DOE. DOE allows school boards to adopt a compliance plan and submit it to them for approval. And assuming it's approved by DOE, we get the vast majority of our penalty waived. So what you have before you is the proposed compliance plan for Yankee County School in the grades pre-K through 2 band. And what I'm here today to do is to ask you guys to review and consider adopting that compliance plan so we can submit it to the board.
You heard Mr. Morgan's recommendation. Is there a pleasure to approve?
I move to accept the recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, questions?
Is that pre-K expansion because of us offering the full day? Do we see a growth in that department?
The numbers, I didn't pull the numbers for pre-K, those weren't in this report that I looked at, but for kindergarten, it was this year, they were at 24, the first grade was at 33, and second grade was at 20. Now bear in mind that the kindergarten and first grade have a full class and also a half class, so that's why they can be asked. So it was, they're trying everything they can. That's a very creative scheduling move in itself, but again, it's just, they're in that donut hole of having more than what's required, but less than what can fund an additional staffing unit. So we hope that, as you can see, the consistency for the last 3 years has been they have been over class size for the past 3 years. So if that trend continues, we will eventually have enough cohorts where we'll be able to look at potentially funding another one. So that's hopefully the goal.
Thank you, Mr.
Any other discussion?
I have a quick question, Morgan. Continues for how long until you get the funding? The last statement that you said if it continues, then...
Well, each year you get a new cohort of students at the school, pre-kindergarten and kindergarten, and so as cohorts leave that are smaller and new cohorts come that are larger, you're gradually increasing the size of the student population at the school, which in turn increases our funding. So hopefully, you know, we've been inching up a little bit every year for the last 3 years, though, so hopefully we can eventually soon get to the point where we can get enough funding to do another unit.
What would be the magic number? Or is there a magic number
It
that
really isn't.
There's not really a magic number. Generally, how we look at things is 2/3. Once you get to 2/3 of 0.67 over, and that's when we have to.
It's made a lot fuzzier because of the recalibration process.
We're going to, just a sidebar, we're researching the work with VADS, and we're researching a different method for staffing allocation. And where each school gets a staffing based upon their class size reduction numbers, but schools get a certain number of units based upon their population, and really give the administration the flexibility to use the units how they see fit. And whether it's teaching units or whatever the economy, or an office unit or whatever it is. But because every one of our schools is different, and you know, what shoe fits Steve Key will not be the same shoe that fits Wilson. And so giving those principals in the schools the flexibility to use their units the way they see fit for the best for kids. That's what we're trying to do. But I just got feedback on that, and I've been working with some principals, trying to understand the process, and we're just at the very front of the board of this.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
One other thing I will mention is that the last 2 years, as I said, we've had the same grade band in school that have been out of compliance, and we've actually been fortunate enough that the last 2 years, unexpectedly, the state ended up waiving the entire penalty. We can't guarantee that, that's not the way the law reads, but if we're lucky, they may do the same thing again this year.
And I think it's very important that we in Levy County are very truthful and honest in what we try to do. We're not yanking teachers around and hiring class size reduction units, you know, and then once the count goes away, the teacher goes away. We're not doing that. And so I believe there's a whole lot of truth in advertising and integrity of the process and the system. And thanks to the board for this hard work.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the plan, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Item E will be our 2017-18 internal audit findings and our 17-18 charter school audit findings. Ms. Lake.
Good evening. I'll start with the charter school findings, since there's fewer there, we'll go quickly through that. On page pages 23 through 25 of the Whispering Winds audit report. Basically, what those pages tell you is there were no findings for Whispering Winds. We still don't know what the, DOE has not given us the final cost for the FTE finding. So that will eventually impact Whispering Winds, but we do know it's estimated between 40 and 50,000, and with the auditor knowing that, they removed that sort of, it wasn't really a finding, but they've said in the past that Whispering Winds may not be able to support that larger 250 finding, but they felt, they did report that this time, knowing that that finding would come back significantly less.
Do we anticipate a reoccurrence of that?
I know that because of that, because of the FEFP audit, that means we're going to have another FEFP audit this year. And I don't know what, I know that the school has taken steps to make sure that that information is available and provable. How they accept that, I don't know. But if there is another finding this year in their FEFP audit, whether it comes back or not the following year, is about a percentage of thresholds. And so I would think that depends upon whether they say, hey, the students are here, you've done this process, we can prove it, and then you don't have, it depends on what they find throughout the rest of the district. And if that threshold is low, then we won't have one the following year. Or they can say, here, we have this finding, and we have to go through the same process again and prove it, and we won't have another FEFP audit the following year. So I don't know, it depends upon what they do. Okay.
So the audit that we're looking at here, the financials that are in that are not reflective of any fines that's been being made yet.
Correct. Correct. But the auditor does know what that estimate is, and since it's so far under the 250, what we're estimating before, they have reserves for that.
Okay.
And this would be their 2017 financial audit. Next, we'll move to Nature Coast. Page 22 tells you that Nature Coast had one finding for transparency. The finding is the information on their website did not have the specific information required by state statute. So the next page is a letter that you see from Mr. Moe, the principal, stating that they have now are fully compliant, so they're fully compliant. They've updated their website with that financial information that should be disclosed. And that was the only finding for Nature Coast.
So financially, Nature Coast is back on much better.
There were no findings. And then we'll move to our own internal audit findings. We had 6. So I brought Pam up because she oversees the internal accounts, and she can just explain this to you a little better than I can. So if you go to page 23 for our audit finding response, she'll kind of walk through each one of these. And if you have any questions, just ask. The internal audit.
Okay, the first one is cash collections. That's where the teachers are collecting money from students, and they're not turning it into the bookkeeper within the next day, the same day or the next day. The next one is timely deposit of the receipts. Once the bookkeeper gets the money, they have 5 business days to get that money to the bank. We have a few schools, just a couple of schools that didn't meet that threshold. Then we have receipt, collection of monies greater than $25. Any student that pays anything over $25 has to have a receipt. Then we have the pre-approval of purchases. That's where someone is going out and maybe verbally telling somebody that they're purchasing something, and they get it, then the invoice shows up, and then the bookkeeper's putting the purchase order in the system. So it's kind of like going after the fact. So that's stopped. I've gotten responses from all of the principals. There was, one school that was doing installment purchases where they went into a contract. I'm not sure what it was for. But that has been addressed also. And finally, we have segregation of duties. This is one that is throughout the district. It's every school district struggles with this. But one of the things that we've implemented is where we have someone else in the school who is going to do the bank reconciliations. So the person who's depositing the money is not actually reconciling it. So you have someone overseeing that. And other ways that we're going to try, and I mean, 5 is still good, to me it's still good. As a bookkeeper, we used to get hit each school. But since we've gone to Skyward and everybody's on the same platform, it's not as bad. So what we're going to do is meet with the bookkeepers twice a year and address and see if anybody's having any problems, kind of get it before the end of the year. Any questions?
Some of these things have been addressed before, haven't they?
Yes.
And some are hard
Yes,
to
some
remedy
is.
because of the size of our school. Cedar Key, for instance, where you have one person wearing different hats. So each school has done their best to address it as they can, and the auditor even did mention to us they see where we've done better. But it's just, with our school sizes, it's sometimes hard to completely address these.
On number 1, you have a Friday night game. I mean, that's kind of inevitable that money's not going to be deposited.
What this one is, it's a teacher in a classroom. They say there's a field trip going on and they've collected money
Okay.
and they haven't turned it in that night. As far as like the games, all of that is put into cash boxes and they're put up in safes. And some of them, I think one of the schools actually has somebody deposit the money in a drop box at the bank.
Do you have any reason why the deposits are taking so long at those 2 schools?
It could be absences.
It could be in part too with the cash collection on top of the timely deposits that we're seeing.
Okay. Okay.
So y'all are monitoring that better, or
Yes.
just staying on top of
Yes.
it or
And
close?
that's why we're coming up
I've
with
asked for them to have 2 meetings.
to
They
meet.
generally have 1 meeting every year with the bookkeeper, and because of this, I've asked for them to have 2 meetings every year.
And what we're doing is readdressing our policy. That's as far as we can go to really govern it. It's extremely hard for us to know when cash comes in, when the deposit happened. So one thing we can do is continue to readdress these policies. And if we see a bookkeeper that's struggling, reaching out to her, reaching out to the principal, those kinds of things we can certainly do, but we continue to let the principals and the bookkeepers know.
Thank you very much.
Further questions? We need to adopt the audit report. All right. Thank you, Ms. Lopez. We'll move on to item F, and that's our substaffing software. The presentation tonight. Frontline.
Paul, he's getting this set up. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. As we talked about before, research has shown us that the #1 indicator for student growth in the classroom is the classroom teacher, and how critical that classroom teacher is. Our goal this year as a district is to move our district from a C school up to a B school, so everyone is working together for that goal. And recently, we've been checking out all the avenues to actually increase the fill rate in our classrooms with highly qualified subs. So when it's necessary for a teacher to be out of the classroom, we have a very highly qualified person there. Our presentation tonight is a follow-up to our board meeting
on November 13th and moving ahead with a hybrid solution that would implement a management software system and a centralized secretary to coordinate and manage this new process. This may not provide all the answers, and it may not meet all of the needs that we have, but it's a great place for us to start. And along with this hybrid version, we wanted to let you know that also we're going to be increasing our advertising and our recruitment efforts. We're going to add the retired teachers to our pay scale for subs. And we will be developing a very formalized system for training our subs and going through that process. So this evening, we're asking you to approve 3 things. The additional person for this position, the 11th month secretary, and we would like for you to approve the job description and a contract with Frontline. I want to address just for a moment the job description that we put in your folder. You have that there. This 11-month secretarial position has been tailored to assist with this new process for tracking absences, recruiting and filling our classrooms with highly qualified subs. They will be helping us and assisting us with training for Frontline, also training our subs. We realize that our subs need additional training with classroom safety, with procedures for highly instructional strategies, discipline routines, all the things that help us keep student learning at the very focus. They're going to be the hub of communication. They're going to help us with recruitment, going right out to ball games, to SAC meetings, PTO meetings, and helping recruit additional subs. And one thing we're adding here, they're going to be overseeing our volunteer program. When we get our hands on great volunteers, lots of times they become great subs. Those great subs become support staff employees, and even some of our support staff are going back to college to become teachers in our system. So there's a lot of positives here. Along with these, tonight we have Frontline with us. And a couple things I want to point out about Frontline before I introduce Chris here is that they're going to provide a lot of data for us. You know, Mr. Edison, one of his missions for us is to actually get to the root of the problem as to why we need so many subs. You know, where are the absences coming from, and tracking classroom absences and what schools, what grade levels, the reason for that. So they're going to provide us with a lot of important data there. And this is also going to help us in the long run keep great paras in their place that the principal has assigned them. Whether it's with ESOL groups, ESE groups, one-to-one intervention, our subs are being pulled right now. Our paras are being pulled right now to fill in for classrooms that are empty and they can't do what they were assigned to do by their principal. And so that creates some negative feelings on their part. They want to be doing what they were assigned to do. So this is all going to come together, and I think it's going to be a great place to start. I would like to introduce Chris Brewer. He is with us from Frontline today, and he's going to be demonstrating his product to us. And when he's finished, you are welcome to ask him questions.
So thank you guys for your time. Chris Brewer. I've actually got my colleague Ben Pope on the line. He's going to try to travel here today. Unfortunately, he has recently had twins, and so it's made travel a little bit difficult right now. Frontline, we're in 75% of the school districts nationwide. The product you're going to look at today is our most popular. 2 of my favorite local accounts are Seminole County and Citrus, which they are actually going to do a site visit with. So, Ben, I am going to turn it over to you. He has been here. He was here recently. But yeah, if you go ahead.
Okay, can everyone hear me okay? And can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Like I said, my name's Ben. I appreciate you guys having me. Sorry I couldn't be there on site with you all today. What I want to do is just walk through a brief 5 to 10 minute overview of what our system looks like. I want to show it to you from different user perspectives. I want to show you what the employee sees. We'll talk about the substitute. We'll talk about the campus user. That would be like a principal or assistant principal. And then we'll finish up with the organization create absences over the phone. So if they don't have internet access for whatever reason, they can call in over a 1-800 number to walk through a series of prompts to create their absence. Basically saying, press 1 for a sick day, press 2 for a personal day, and walk them through those prompts. The third one is on a mobile app. So we have on the iOS Apple Store and the Android Marketplace, we have a Frontline mobile app where they can log in and create absences that way. But it's all ending up in the same place. That's the main benefit. That this is one system to track all absences, whether they need a substitute or not. We want to have, because I heard you mention reporting, that's the main benefit here, is that we're tracking everything in one place, and you can report off of the data and use that insight into data to make better decisions as a district. So that's what employees do. They go in, they say, I'm going to be absent on the 23rd of January, maybe it's multiple days. They select from your district list of absence reasons. You guys determine those, and we can route those through electronic approval, and they can fill out all the necessary details, right? So personal day, they can leave notes to their principal. They can say, I need to take a personal day for this reason. They can leave notes to the substitute. And this is key here. They can leave notes to the sub, and they can leave attachments to the sub. Because we're connecting the employee directly to the sub, so that by the time the sub shows up in the classroom, they're better prepared to do their job. And that's important, right? If the sub is better prepared, that ultimately helps your students, that helps the sub for retention. We've seen that help retention rates because the subs feel like they're being invested in, they're prepared to show up, they're not just being thrown in the classroom unprepared. Okay, so that's the absence creation process. The next thing we'll look at is the substitute perspective. So now that we have an absence in the system, how does the sub get notified about that absence? So one of the main things we're doing here is we're allowing the sub to be proactive. So instead of waiting for a person to call them about a job the morning of or maybe the night before, a sub can be proactively searching online. So everything you see here on my calendar in green, those are available jobs to the sub. So our system is going to go through a series of checks to make sure the sub is qualified, they're available, they prefer to work there. Maybe you guys set up your own preferences about what subs you prefer to work in certain buildings. But by the time the sub sees it, you know the system has gone through all those checks. So they can be proactive. The sub, as a system at Frontline, we have the ability to make unlimited phone calls about jobs as well. So we are making phone calls directly to the sub, where they can answer, they can walk through those prompts as well, and actually accept the job right over the phone. And then that shows up on their calendar as well as they've accepted the job. And then you, at the building or at the district, can see that what subs are coming in each day. Okay, so we're really helping the substitute be proactive, which is ultimately going to help your fill rates. Your jobs that are going to get filled quicker, they're going to be able to see them further in advance. You're going to have unlimited phone lines calling out to those substitutes as well to notify them about last-minute jobs, days ahead of time. So what we've seen, because we're in over 7,000 school districts around the country, you see this product, we've really seen this help fill rates and help the subs be proactively searching for jobs as well. Okay, so that's the substitute perspective. And then from the building level, that's the next user we're going to look at. How can I, as a principal or an admin assistant at the building, how can I go in and see who's absent at my building each day and what substitutes are coming in each day? That's really what we're designed to do at the building level. And then we also have reports available they can go in and run to get that insight to see, okay, what's trending on absenteeism at my building. And obviously at the district level, you can see that across buildings, but each building will be limited to their own building. They'll need to see all the other buildings, unless you want them admin on a daily basis as well. I will show one report, just since you guys mentioned reports, to show you what trending analysis looks like. So this report is called the Day of Week Absence Analysis. So this report shows me trends based on the day of the week and absences on each day of the week. So on Thursday, that's my highest absentee day over the past 2 months. So you're likely to see Mondays and Fridays, is what we typically see. This is my test environment, but that just gives you an example of some of the reporting capabilities to get insight into the data that we have in the system. Because really, yeah, we're capturing it all, but really, this is really where it gets to the meat of it, is seeing the data behind all the information. Okay, so that's the building level. I'm going to finish up as a district level user with what I want to show. And really what I want to highlight here is our ability to work with your HR or payroll system, Skyward. Right? So we have worked and integrated our system with Skyward in over 600 districts around the country. So Skyward's in other states outside of Florida. We've done it in Florida. But we can pass data. We capture all the absences that have been taken. We capture all the substitutes that are filling in. And so we can send that data over to Skyward, so you don't have to manually enter every time someone took an absence, every time a sub filled in, and we have to pay that sub. We can pass that data over to eliminate the manual entry of information. So I won't get into all those details, but just know we've worked with Skyward and hundreds of other payroll systems around the country, but Skyward is probably one we've worked with the most. Okay? And then I'll end up here on the Institute report. Because we have such a large customer base, we allow you as a district to benchmark yourselves against national statistics. So we validated our data with Johns Hopkins University, their Center for Research and Reform in Education, as nationally relevant data. And so you can go in and filter by the state of Florida, or by size of district, or by locale, and actually compare how you guys stack up to other districts. You can see, well, our average days absent is this compared to the state of Florida. Or if I scroll down, there's all types of statistics here. 37% of my absences in my district came from illness. That's 1% higher compared to the state of Florida. So you can benchmark yourselves. Because we have such a large customer base, we've embedded this right into the system. You don't need to pull all the data out and into a form and kind of manipulate it. We've already done that for you. All you do is set the filters and hit go, and we give you the data. So that all goes through. We have substitute metrics, we have fill rate metrics to see how your fill rates stack up against whatever benchmarking you're doing, whatever filters you set. Okay, so that's just a brief overview of what our system does from different user perspectives. I'll stop there.
And one piece that actually we can't show today, it's in beta testing, ready to roll out this year. But we're working with Amazon Web Services, and once that rolls out, a principal or whoever you decided gets access could be driving into work and say, how many substitutes do I have in today? And Amazon Alexa will be able to repeat back to you how many subs, how many absence fills that haven't taken place, and you'll be able to get that data without having to lift a finger. Something I'm very excited about.
Yeah, voice activated technology is going to the next before we ever get into it. Get good one.
Thanks, man.
Anybody have questions for?
Any questions?
Yeah, what about the time frame? Is it, you can do it any time of the day? Is it just a certain time?
Any time of day. There's a lot of parameters we can put around when dials take place. Substitutes can request times that they don't want to be called. So they can actually say, if you get a substitute request after 9 o'clock, don't call me until 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, obviously, that might be filled by someone else. There's a lot of parameters that can be put in place for teachers that say they want certain substitutes can be put in there. There's a lot of different avenues and ways you can set it up, customized.
And what about the training process?
We're actually going to work with the team on getting it set up, making sure everyone's trained. I can come up, or we can do remote, whatever works best.
And how long is that training process?
It depends on how quickly it gets picked up, but 30 to 60 days we can get the money.
And you do hire local people? You look at the local subs and the subs that you currently use?
So we have a product called Proactive Recruiting, which is an actual, I call it a job board for teachers. teachers. That's something that we do have extra. With this particular piece, we help you with retention of your existing subs. We're not actually going out and finding additional subs. So you'll work internally to do that.
So we'll still be looking for our subs.
Correct. Now, one thing that we did talk about is figuring out which subs are being used and which ones aren't, to start to figure out why people are turning down substitute positions and maybe get more of them back into the pool just by knowing who's taking it and who's not.
And then we'll do the training, but we'll still have the same process that we use to certify the subs or make sure that they're.
So we actually have a training platform within our software. So once a sub has been chosen to be a pick, they can do the training for being a sub right through the system. And that's part of the software.
But the onboarding will be the same. We're clearing them.
They're clearing them.
So, and only because we've talked to multiple companies, you know, and made multiple presentations about various ways. The subs will be our employees, they won't
That's correct.
be ours. And so, just a couple of things. So our current subs would just fall into this same thing. Just want to make sure I understand everything.
We'll do a load from Skyward.
And you're not going to help us find more subs, you're just going to sort of manage the subs we have. And if some show up, we add them to the kitty.
Correct. As of this person, as this relationship goes, yes.
So as it's proposed right now, this is not to help us find more subs, this is to help us manage the subs we have, for lack of a better way to explain.
And so if we have a problem getting subs, maybe in our area or something, then how can you guarantee the success rate, that 95% that they're filled?
There's no guarantee. One thing that we did discuss with this tool, because Citrus County also uses it, for the substitutes that are working for Citrus County, when they log in, if they're approved to take substitute positions here, they will be able to see both. So you could potentially be bringing in a pool of substitutes from neighboring districts. So that could open up the number of substitutes that would work in this district.
But we could also lose subs.
That's sometimes a possibility.
Not want to be bad guy, just asking the question. And I noticed it said, and only because, I don't have the chart here, and I'm not smart enough to know that off the top of my head. What's the pay going to be for the position, roughly? What's that pay a year?
That will be, it will range from $20,442 to $28,840.
So if we go on the high end of the spectrum, just for giggles, this would cost us roughly $47,000 a year between the person and the service.
Yes.
Roughly $47,000 to $50,000 a year. Okay.
These are the training tools that will be accessible online for the substitutes.
Okay, and then what happens if, and only because I know there was some talk, one of the companies that do what you do. What if we opt out after a year? Like you say, at the end of the year, we go, this just isn't working. There was one that we would actually lose our subs. I don't think that was y'all, but there was one. There's none of that. Y'all walk off, we shake hands and say, bye-bye. Is that essentially what happened?
Best of luck. We'll give you an export.
Okay.
Is that in the contract?
If it's not, it can be. I'd be shocked if it's not. It should be in there.
David reviewed
It's
it
your-
and had us add language,
Yeah.
yes.
It's your data.
Okay.
We don't keep it from you.
I want to make sure I'm right in the order there. What number did you say would be the total cost of that?
Well, if it costs us $28,000 for the person, and then the cost of the annual subscription is $19,396,
So
that's $47,000 to $48,000.
Good.
Easy math.
One-time startup cost.
Right.
Well, I didn't figure in that one time $6,000.
If I could throw one thing out, the amount of time necessary to support this is something that we will learn over the next 11 months. And I would be willing to bet that that person's time could be allocated within other areas. It's a system that is very self-driven.
Yeah, you will be eliminating some supplements.
So
Right, that one, oh, I'm sorry.
if, let's just say that we didn't do the secretary, and the people that we have that are doing this, I mean, would there be a disadvantage to just trying the software and going with people that are in-house and kind of holding their feet to the fire to do a better job of getting subs?
Well, that certainly could be an option. You know, that certainly could be an option.
Instead of having, I mean, because And it's an 11-month position, so if 10 months out of the year we're in school, what are they gonna be doing that 1 month? So what other duties do you?
Well, by the time school ends, you actually just have 4 weeks that they're not working. And training, new subs coming in, getting them in order. And in charge of the volunteer program, there's a lot of end of the year things that they have to do. We report to the state for the different awards that are given for volunteers. There's plenty to do. I would say that one of the benefits of the additional person is lightening the load on the schools, because the coordinators are basically on call 24/7. And like Mr. Edison said, there are supplements, but you know, you would be saving some.
So there'd be reduction in pay to some people because we're taking duties away,
What's the reduction, supplement?
just something.
This person will be doing the supplement.
So I don't always go along with the idea of spending money to save money. Sometimes your wife will go, look, I went to Macy's and it was on sale, so I saved us all this money. Well, you really spent this money. So that, based on the sales pitch on this thing, y'all got a great sales pitch. Why do we need that person? If it's as easy as you say, I never need to talk to the secretary, I never need to talk to this person. I can just go on there, and I'm not knocking trying to create a position, but I'm kind of knocking creating a position when there's other people floating around.
Each
That,
district is different.
So what do you see at Seminole and Citrus? What are they doing?
So Seminole, of course, is a larger district, so from my understanding, they do have one part-time person. What their actual hours are, I'm not sure. Citrus County actually has not sat down yet. They've been a client for several years.
They have one full-time, centralized.
Centralized.
Mhm. The thing is, it's not 100% fill rate, so you still have to have a human being making sure those schools have subs. So if we didn't have a centralized person, we'd still be asking those sub-coordinators in those schools who are really overburdened with lots of other responsibilities to continue that piece. So we would need to add, there would need to be some discussion for the supplements would stay. That was the whole reasoning for the full-time person, but we did mention 2 part-time. And I think it was Ms. Brookins who brought up the idea that you could probably do a little bit more with a full-time person than you can with 2 part-time people piecemealing them.
I do think first year is smart. As you're learning the system, figuring out what it is going to take, you'd rather have them here than not.
But in this job description, it said, if we go with that person, that they report to the principal, but it really needs to be essential, needs to be here. Is that correct?
You should have the one here that says Director of
It's the
Personnel.
director of personnel.
It was corrected, and I'm sorry, I guess we didn't email back out the corrected one. We caught that and not in enough time. I apologize.
They have created the wrong one because it was revised. It goes to the Director of Personnel.
Oh, okay, I think it's much better.
It says Director of Personnel.
Yeah, not mine, mine says principal here.
And that's why actually I would be part of the training too. I would be very involved in the training that takes place with our substitutes.
And just want to summarize a bit, we looked at different models, and there are some of them that, I think it's 39% of, what's the model that they use? Like,
If we outsource?
ma'am?
If we outsource?
Yeah, it's, what's that, staffing?
Kelly Services.
County services, that would cost us almost $200,000 a year to outsource. I think that at our last meeting, we had taken outsourcing off the table.
And so it's a priority that the board has established and trying to do something we can do a better job of getting substitutes in the classrooms. We're trying to find a way that we can fiscally handle this within the budget, and that's why we are here today. This is, Ms. Lake and Ms. Myers have worked on that, and this is a recommendation.
Well, I really think that this is, what they're recommending is that it's better. We hope that's a goal, to make it better in our school systems. And I am for this because what we're doing is not working. I really I have to put that out there, it's not working. And I want our schools to be better, and I want us to be better. I agree with Cameron with, we don't want to spend to save, but we want our schools to improve. We need to, whatever it takes, we need to improve.
I can tell you what, it's, when the principal goes around and tries to find a substitute coordinator, everybody hires. That's the least favorite job in the school.
So if we do this, whoever is doing that right now at, say, Cedar Key, they won't do that anymore. They won't have the subs.
Well, there will actually still be a little bit of that to fill because this is not 100%. So you're still going to have those hard to fill, sometimes easy classrooms are really hard to find a great sub in. So this just allocates the time at the school for that person to actually try to fill those positions instead of at midnight at night, getting 4 o'clock in the morning phone calls. They're like on call all the time. It just helps them be able to do that probably on their regular work hours instead of all through the day and night and on the weekends. So there's still going to be some of that to do.
So the report they said that they would send us every morning, we sort of envisioned that there would be someone dedicated at the school that would look at that report to see what subs are coming in for the day, because they need to know, and then what is left unfilled at a certain time, and then working with this centralized person to get those positions filled. And we also, Marla and I have discussed rolling out in 2 schools as soon as possible, and we will need the help of the sub-coordinators in those schools just to help with the training and get it going.
So it is a possible reality. You have 2 possible realities. Possibly, it's a reality that those people will no longer have to do that at their school. But it's also a possibility, we'll pay for this, and they still have to do exactly what they're doing right now.
Not to the level, no, not to the.
But it
They
sounds
won't
like
have
to
to
the
do
level.
it, they won't have to do it after hours.
Right, if they would get that report that morning, and if they couldn't fill, that's when you start seeing in-house people generally pulled. But this position would come in earlier, I believe Marla was thinking 6 or 7 in the morning, so that they could handle some of that themselves. This would have
I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse.
No, sir.
But what I'm saying is, we have people here that are already working, and we're already overloaded, so I want you to relieve some of that overload. But at the same time, we have people that are needing raises, that are people are, struggling.
Sure.
And it's hard for me to sit here going, okay, well, we don't have any money to give y'all anymore, maybe we can create this position
Sure.
at $28,000, and they're still gonna y'all are still gonna have to do what you were doing. Does that make sense? I may be boiling it down too simple, but I always say that sometimes we wind up buying a Ferrari that didn't have wheels on. I like this software, but in what you're telling me, that's not gonna help me get any more subs unless I pirate those jokers from Citrus County. Really, you're not in the job of hunting us subs. We're still hunting subs. It's gonna keep us in communication with what we got, and it will manage the subs we got. And it's supposed to relieve some of the stress on the people at the schools, but they may still have to make some calls. Am I oversimplifying it? I mean, they still have that job, but we're gonna take that supplement away from them to pay this, but they're still gonna have to do their job.
Scheduling piece will help the subs too, because the subs can be proactive and go, right now, they may not get notified until that very morning. So this does help us with getting subs. This also opens up every school to every sub if we choose, instead of pocketing them at certain schools where they're being, whatever that's, what do you guys call that? You have a school that sponsors a sub. This would be the sub, every sub we have on the sub list being called for any school, unless that sub chooses to go in and restrict themselves to schools, or unless the school chooses to restrict themselves from the sub. So there are pieces to this software that will help with that, but I think your concern is what would be our metric if after a year we haven't seen any benefit to the software, we haven't seen an alleviation of the duties at the school level. That's when I think we would have to be scrapping what we're doing and start over.
Okay.
Because
I think,
this doesn't have to be forever. We can see if it's going to work, if it improves things. But I have watched my confidential secretary, work way into the hours, several nights a week, trying to find subs, especially if we were having a training or something that required several people to be out. It offers.
I see it as a potential help. I mean,
Anybody's job.
So
I see it as potential, but I just want to make sure I understand everything.
So we've like Ms. Brookins said, over time, when the board has addressed this over a 6 to 8 month period, so we stay focused on what we're doing, is the ideal was for us to embrace a different way of doing what we were doing. I think was the idea, and it's kind of like modern technology, as far as I'm concerned, is we're advertising the job on a daily basis, and we don't do that now, except on 911, when we're calling somebody to fill the hole between the time we find out when they're gonna do it, and the hole's gonna be available. So, I mean, all this is an advertisement tool to our pool of substitutes to know when the job's available. Is that not, am I right?
In a way.
And then on the backside of that, the reporting for us to figure out why our absentees at our level that they're at and why they are, so that we can track and monitor those reasons. But on the other side of that, with this, and I get Mr. Asbell's, because it's always easier just to create a position, but the position's not really important, it's the talent of the person we put in this position. So the hire isn't as important as creating the position, in my opinion. So I would hope that if someone mind, or we, before we just fill the position, that we get the talent that can do the job successfully. That would be my suggestion. And I don't have any other comments.
I guess my apprehension is that we're still, and I would agree with Mr. Etheridge's comment, that it's whoever we hire is going to be the key. Because we could hire somebody and they could be a dud, because these, I mean, if we have holes to fill, they got to beat the bushes then to find those holes. And, you know, I think there's been some issues. You know, it's bad whenever you have somebody that's from one community that's getting sponsored by another community, because that school's not doing their due diligence to get their name in the hat, and that's happened. And so I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, so that's happened. You know, so we've had some people that want to sub, that are subbing not in their home community because the home school wasn't doing, the person wasn't doing what they need to be doing. And so we need to hold those people's feet to the fire. So.
If I understand this correctly, though, when that job is advertised, the first person who clicks on there says, I take that job as a substitute for that classroom.
Unless that teacher says, I don't want that sub, or I don't want a certain sub.
Be a step higher than that, but yes, if the teacher has gone to the person administering the position and said that person should not be in my classroom, and they added that, then they would not. But it has to take a person saying, I don't want that person there. There's a lot of customers.
I make the motion that we enter into contract with Frontline. So,
We'll handle these one item at a time.
yes, sir.
Okay. So it's been moved that we entered into the contract as printed with Frontline. Is there a second?
Second, more discussion.
Okay, it's been moved and second, open for discussion.
Okay, I see some anxiety out here on your face, and I just want to hear your comments.
I just had some questions. So we're going to eliminate those site jobs. So this would be our ESCs that were already concerned with their pay. So someone that already has that position, would they lose that this year, or that would be next year where they can start budgeting for that?
We're not actually cutting anybody's, usually these are confidential secretaries, and that's just part of their duties that they take on, so they still have the same.
So the reduction in supplement, what did that mean then?
Supplement for this?
Yes,
The
so if they
staffing
got
coordinator.
some,
Okay, so
Not staffing coordinator, it's,
Or whatever.
just,
it's different people in different schools is what it is.
it is, every school has a different.
So I have an employee, I'm an administrator, I have this employee, and they get their pay, plus they get that supplement. I'm asking, are you taking that supplement away from them mid-year when they're budgeting on getting that?
No.
We're starting next year. So next year, okay, Susie, just know that you're not gonna get this supplement anymore, so make sure your budget
We are
fits
not
that.
breaking any agreements that we have with
All right,
You have one more question?
oh no, I have several more.
I'm sure I'll
So,
answer some of yours.
hopefully.
I've
So-
got another question than this.
Okay.
We have a Skyward tracking system already where we see that that's a personal day or a sick day. That's already in Skyward when a teacher goes in there to put that into Skyward. So Can you tell me how that's gonna be different with a teacher going into here and tracking that same information? How is your system different from Skyward that's already telling you it's a personal day, it's a sick day?
Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but we would be able to import that data from Skyward.
Yeah, that's correct. So Skyward doesn't do any of the self-finding capabilities, so what we do is track all that information and just send it to Skyward, and employee access inside of Skyward, it gets updated with all the leave that's been taken. So we just become the entry point for all the leave now and finding the subs, and then we just tell Skyward what happened, and then employee access and time off, and Skyward gets updated with that information.
So there'll be two entry points for people who need a sub now. They'll have to also do it in Skyward and
Just do it in here.
in Frontline.
They would no longer
No,
do it
just
in Skyward.
Frontline, and then we send all the data back to Skyward. They just have to do it once in Frontline.
Okay, so payroll would still get the information from you then, so we're not doing two things if we need a sub.
Melody, we're not 100% sure about that.
With Skyward, yeah,
Okay.
so they don't have to do it split.
They have that capability, but finance needs to make sure that we want to talk to them that way.
Okay.
If it is two double-sided entry, what it would look like is going into Skyward, and when you put your leave in, you'll click sub needed, and it'll shoot you over to Frontline. Unfortunately, you would have to quickly put that data in there again, but we need to figure out with our auditors which way they want us communicating.
Okay.
So that is a possibility for double entry.
Okay, and you answered my sub. I wanted to make sure our local subs were called before we started reaching out other places, because we need to be true to Lee County. You also said that subs could see different counties, so I could have a Citrus County sub that might be open up to here. Are they gonna be able to see that pay difference from Citrus County to Levy County for sub days?
I don't believe so. That would be something that was discussed with the onboarding process.
Okay.
They would still have to go through your onboarding
Mhm.
as a substitute for Citrus, so they would understand their pay before they came on board.
Okay, two more questions. You said that they would be training now before they were able to go into that classroom. Are you paying these subs to get all of this online training now, since we're having them trained before they come?
What we've discussed is when they come in to sign up and go through their process, this person, if we have someone come on board, and myself, I'm very interested in helping to train these folks before they actually go into the classroom as a sub. Everybody's very busy at the school sites, and sometimes, there's just not a lot of time to do the extra training. There's an onboarding piece, online training with this system, and then we also had talked about some different components that we knew needed to be put in there also.
Right, so will they be paid for that training is the question?
I'm not sure,
Not sure.
to be honest with
It's different district by district. We've
you.
seen
We
it
would
across
have
the
to
board.
establish that.
All right, and my last question, and you may not have the data, but how many open positions do we still have here in the county? Not even talking subs, just talking open positions.
Okay, I do have that with me. I have 8 teacher positions open. We have 3 aides, 1 reading coach. We have 2 maintenance, 2 carpenters, 1 electrician, 2 bus drivers. That's what I can remember.
Okay. So how's Frontline gonna help us fill those positions? Is that gonna have anything to do with filling open positions or just substitutes?
When I think about filling these positions, the ease of access from the substitute side is going to increase the retention. Instead of somebody simply being able to turn off the phone, we're going to have text messages, phone calls, emails. There's a number of different
Use technology to
options.
our advantage at it.
And so, especially with a little bit more of the tech savvy, we see them use it more. So it has increased retention of subs.
I'll stop there, thank you.
Mr. Witt?
I was just curious, since I don't work in schools, I was just curious, are subs considered, are they supposed to teach classes when they go into subs, or are they like babysitters for the classroom? I was just curious.
They follow plans, they're trained, and that's, I think that's part of that Marla has mentioned, that they are trained, and they follow the plans that the teacher leaves.
I think the title of the position is substitute teacher.
Yeah. And so the work that they go over, it's left for them. And there's training and there's, their education, and they have too. I mean, I want to tell you, Terry, I started as a sub.
I started as a show.
I started as a sub.
Yeah.
You don't babysit anymore, do you?
I didn't think so one day when I was there. We had class.
Many of our subs do have degrees.
Yeah, a lot of them, yeah, they do.
I have a question. Mr. Asbell?
You asked a lot of questions. What's your thoughts? You have a thought on this, please
I
share.
do. As president of LCEA, I think exactly that same way. You're gonna take $28,000 now that you couldn't give in raises to people that you already have that have been loyal to leaving for so many years, and you're gonna create a new position. I also have a problem because you're gonna take that supplement away from somebody who only makes $14,000, $15,000 a year. And it may not seem like a lot of money to us, but $100 here or there may be what's making their electric bill, or it's paying for their phone, or something. I mean, we have low-income families, you know, we have employees that are getting assistance. You know, is that gonna make a difference for those employees? And I think if we managed to Skype a little better, we would already have some of the information. Now, I see that Frontline can offer us a way to track that, but if we're gonna spend $40-something thousand, I want more subs to pick from, not just manage what we have, because obviously we don't have enough as it is. We can't even fill our regular positions, much less our substitute positions. And our contract language says our aides, our ESPs are not supposed to fill a teaching position for more than one day. And that is a problem.
It is a problem. I think that that we're trying to solve a problem and trying to make our system better. I agree with what you said, and that's not our goal to take away from anyone. And it's certainly, you know, we want to reach out. We want better pay. We really do. I mean, everybody here does. But I see this as we're trying to make our system better. I agree with everything you said, but we need teachers and we need subs in those classrooms. We need our aides to do their job.
Exactly.
I'm proud of them. They do a great job.
We
They
couldn't
need
do
to
this
do their
without them.
job. Right.
I think the focus of the goal was to create a better educational
Education.
value in the
So yeah, that's my
classroom.
opinion. My
Long
opinion
term,
is, take Frontline, we don't need that extra position. You know, we all have to tighten up in places, so I apologize. He asked my opinion and I didn't really give it to him, so that would be my opinion, is yes to Frontline, but not the position. And what was your follow-up, Mr. Etheridge?
I'll pass. I appreciate it, though. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Had a lot of discussion. Did you have a follow-up question? You only asked one.
I came in late, of course, but, so this is supposed to help find teachers also?
No.
No? Okay, just subs.
I did have one quick thing to add. This started part because of the board's concerns, but also we were at a Support the Support meeting, and those that are doing the sub-coordination are so overburdened with other tasks, they were looking, this is one way to help them take this off their desk. This is not a punishment to them. These are usually confidential secretaries, and the ones we have spoken to, this is something, now I don't know that they know exactly what we've worked out, but this is something that they're adding on top of their already 40 hours a week. This is a way to help them. This isn't more money for them, but this is a way to help them and pull some of these additional tasks, responsibilities off their desk. Hopefully 80 to 90% of it. We do understand that they may still have to know and manage what subs are coming in their school. But that's kind of what started this. This wasn't started without thinking about those sub-coordinators in the schools.
How much is the supplement for the coordinators or the confidential secretary coordinators at school level? See,
Please, I might be wrong, but I don't believe there is a supplement. I believe that was one of our discussions, was adding a supplement, and we haven't added because the board liked the hybrid. So I think we got a little bit off there, but we knew that something has to be done to help out. And I think that overriding, what we were hearing from the schools is they would just like these tasks removed as their daily responsibility.
So that leaves one thing, that there won't be a reduction.
Mr. Witt, was that?
that answers my question, yeah, because there's been some discussion on the board about these local coordinators at school level losing a supplement. I just want to know how much that was, apparently it doesn't exist, so.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor in a second to accept the contract. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. We still have another action item on the board, on the table. Two more, yes. So, the 11th month Secretary Centralized Sub-Coordinator would be our next item. Is there any discussion or any, well, there's none. Is there any desire to someone move action on?
Well, I think that after our discussion, there's been a lot of things said, and if Marla doesn't mind, just repeat who they report to, the training, and just go over a few more items about this position, even though it's in front of us.
Right. Well, with this position, it would be 11 months, and school ends in June. We get things started back up actually in the middle of July. And so a lot of training would be involved here. This person would actually assist with training with Frontline, with both the subs and the teachers. They would help with the training. They would also help me with the training with subs right here at the district office. We would work with safety, classroom management, highly effective instructional practices, discipline, routines, resources, all the things that are affected in the classroom. All those things affect learning, and we need better training with our subs in those areas. Communication, this person would be the hub of the communication with the subs, with the teachers, with the administrators at the school. They would help recruit subs, and with those subs, remember, subs and volunteers, they lead to possible candidates and employees for our schools. And we also have some support staff now that's actually going back to college to become teachers, which we're trying to grow our own teachers right here and have them stay in ladies. So there's a lot of, this person will be very, very busy. They would be under my direction. They would also help us promote the mission of our district, which we've been working hard to do in this last year. So those are some of the things that they would be overseeing. That volunteer program, which is huge. Kaylee Wade is so overwhelmed with her job. The volunteer position is just something extra on her that kind of got shifted from something else and wasn't really what she came into to start with. So that will be moved from Kaylee over to this person also.
One of the key words you said was recruit. That is so important.
Well,
I don't see it exactly on here, but that is a really key word, and that's very important, because there are some really good people that I think would certainly, be great to,
and that's actually number 12. Under
Number 12.
responsibilities.
Thank you very much.
And after talking to some of these different companies, we got some ideas on some better ways of recruiting and things that we can get out into the community and do for recruitment. So we've kind of taken that, not necessarily from Frontline, but from some others. And so we definitely will have a schedule for this person to help us get out into the community, be available to talk to people, connect with volunteers, connect with our community leaders, get into churches, go to ball games, go to SAC meetings, go to PTO meetings, and be our face up.
Who does that now?
No,
Nobody.
No, nobody.
So if I want to be a substitute, I just have to call up here and say, I want to be a substitute. That's what we do right now. That's a
you're
genuine
supposed to be
question.
sponsored by a sponsor.
Or I'm at the school and say, I'd like to be a substitute.
Basically,
That's what
they
we do.
seek out being a substitute at school.
Okay.
And the school is responsible for doing all the training. And there's still training that's going to be unique to each school. But
Kind of like being a mason, to be one, ask one. To be a sub, you gotta ask one.
so, and again, I go back to what we're trying to do. And I understand and I don't disagree with budgets and everything else. What we're trying to do is make the life better in the classroom for the classroom teacher when they're out. I can tell you when a teacher is out of school, whether it's a personal day, a training day, whatever it is, it's a day and a half of work. Because not only do they have to go to do whatever they're doing, when they're not there, they have to prepare plans and everything else, and then redo a lot of stuff. You know, there's a lot of work that has to be done to be out. And so what we're trying to do is be able to get folks in, hire better subs, train better people, so that when it helps the teachers in there, make sure that we have a higher fill rate, and most importantly, that our kids receive a better education. Whether this works or not, I don't know. I can tell you what we're doing right now is not effective. And I say that in all earnesty, that we've got a lot of people working real hard trying to make it effective.
So what happens to this person? Okay, say we go with this. Let's say at the end of the year, nothing is different, and we said a minute ago, if this ain't working, we're going to punt and do it. What happens to this person at the end of the year?
Well,
Are we going to just retitle this person, or are we going to say, hey, bye?
well,
We
actually,
don't,
they're on probation.
yeah,
Like,
and if the job we come in here, we cut the job, or you take the position away, then that position's not there.
do we,
Now, that
Just
person's just like
my
everybody
question,
else.
we have- is this going to curb some of the absentee, do you think this will legitimately curb some of the absenteeism? Will it slow down, help curb some of that, or is it going to be, make it easier to be out of the classroom? And that's no knock on you, they could get sick and those kind of.
What do you see in the two districts?
What's happening where
We've
you're at?
increased retention of the substitutes. We get more, the number of days the substitutes fill goes up, just because it's simply easier.
What about number of absences?
Number of absences doesn't change because you're gonna know exactly why people are taking these absences. So it actually makes it less forthcoming to take it because the reporting is accurate.
We have that data.
So,
So there's no difference.
so no change in people missing it, we just have more people filling in.
Ms. Marlowe, what are you looking for? Recommendation for the job description? Is that what you're looking for?
Yes,
Okay. I move the approval of the 11-month secretary centralized sub-coordinator.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, approval of the 11-month secretary central sub-coordinator. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Wick has a question.
So there's a pay range and that depends on experience, or how does that work?
Yes.
Where's the 20,000 going to be the,
There's no experience.
so what's the low?
20,400.
What?
yes, 20,442 hours.
I'm not going to get rich.
No.
All right, any other discussion?
And the people in the schools have asked for this. The people that are having to do this have asked for
They
this.
haven't asked for this position, but they have asked for some way to help with those additional relief for those responsibilities. But this was our recommendation, looking at the 3 possible ways to make that happen.
Okay. You think this will make it better, the situation, for our kids?
For its students, absolutely, because I plan on being part of working to help train and have our subs better prepared when they go into classroom. I cannot guarantee how much of the fill rate it will change, but I will give my word that they will be better prepared from our training when they go into the classroom, so those students will have a better day at school.
If it doesn't make a difference, Mr. Isabel, we'll be coming back to you unrecommended.
And this will start when?
It helps kids.
All right, it'll start when?
Well, we would post this position like right away so that we get this person on board, get some training going, and we'll work it. We'd like to pilot it with a couple of schools first, work out the kinks, and roll into more schools then. And then I talked to Citrus County, and they gave me some tips on some things that worked and didn't work. And they loved our idea of piloting with a couple of places first and working everything out, doing the training, instead of going full-blown to the whole district immediately.
Well, by next school year, we would be in the whole district.
we would be working toward, well, actually fully implemented by next January, but everybody should be trained when we start up the new school year. And it will take a little bit, to get all the rest of those 7 schools flowing smoothly, and by January, we should be.
I got a question. Can you get us up and running if we wanted to and do that 25,000 through next school year, so we get basically 18 months for the 12 months?
We've already reduced it for this contract. I think in the coming year, if we want to look at a multi-year, we can discuss that.
Well, that's what we're talking about now, the very job.
No, but if
I'd like to
if
know
we're getting,
that, I'd like to know that information when we were voting on you, nothing against you. But now I'm finding out we're paying 20 grand for 2 schools. Because it'll be next January for us, so that's a year.
No, so we're just starting with 2
Let's-
schools.
Starting with 2 schools.
We're working
Make
with
sure.
2.
The item that we're discussing right now is 11-month secretarial centralized sub-coordinator is the item that's on the floor for discussion. Is there any more discussion on this item? So do we stand on our parliamentary law? Mr. Asbell?
I'm golden.
There's a subscription for a year, 19, somebody said 19,000, and did you just say 25,000?
The item we're talking about right now
Look at
is.
that.
Oh, you're not.
Yeah, we're talking about the 11-month secretarial centralized
that's
sub-coordinator
on me, I
job description.
apologize, Mr. Chairman.
Job description, so we stay on track. So
I'll
is
call-
there any more discussion on this?
I'll call the question.
Question has been called for. We'll now proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you.
There was one other thing you had to approve, what was that?
Job description
That was it.
and the position.
And the position. So we just approved the job description for the 11th month. So now we would need to entertain the position itself.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we advertise the position as described in what we just passed. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. All right. Good discussion.
That's very good.
All right. Moving to item G, public hearing for math textbooks adoption, Ms. Rivers.
Good evening, Board. Superintendent. I was here back in December to propose the timeline. And then subsequently, we did a public hearing posting for the review of the materials adopted by each grade, not adopted, but chosen by each grade band. And during that public review, it's been advertised and also it has been posted on the website, the different links for the public to access the textbooks that are proposed for adoption. And then there will be another public hearing later on after they've actually voted on the textbooks. So this closes out the public hearing period that started back in December. And this is an opportunity for the public to, if they had any questions or concerns, to present them at this meeting. And from that, if not, then getting your vote of approval for these materials to move forward.
So we're open for public comment for the final hearing for math textbook adoption. Is there any discussion, any comments?
So what was online, or something online?
The textbooks that are up open for selection by the teachers have been posted on the website.
Full textbook?
Samples. Mhm. There's links by each publisher, by grade band.
Do you have any comment?
No, other than the teachers have been very good in coming in and giving their input.
And what's been their input, what's been the?
They chose some strong contenders. They chose Pearson and Curriculum Associates for elementary. So So they're looking at those two. And then middle school and high school has some similarities in that they both chose Discovery Education as well as Carnegie. And then McGraw Hill was a middle school choice, and Math Nation, which is part of Algebra Nation, has been chosen by high school. So during this month, the publishers are coming out and meeting with teachers that are interested in getting further information. But the samples are at their school.
Mr. Witt?
Are these paper textbooks or the online textbooks?
They're both, they're blended. Mhm. Some of them offer an opportunity. What we're finding is if you get a hardback book, some of them will give you the online, some will not, so it just depends on the publisher, what kind of package you get, and it does increase the cost if you get both for some of the publishers.
I was just wondering what the students take home with them for.
Typically, it's paper workbook, depending on the age group, but actually a lot more of the high school. I know Math Nation is paperback, so the students have it to take home back and forth, so more consumable, but it's for the duration of the adoption, that they'll get the class will get a new book each year.
New paper book. I suppose the students who have access to laptops and so forth, they could probably just.
They could, but when we look at the population in different communities of their access to online from home, it has not been feasible at this point to go typically online for textbook.
Mr. Witt, to answer where I think you're going with this, it doesn't necessarily just because it's online make it cheaper to the district.
It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
The online versions are more expensive.
Because they update them throughout the adoption, but it costs the district more a lot of times.
Well, I didn't think you were going to be able to just go strictly online, even if you
No.
afford it, because
No.
there's such a limit to how many.
Well, even the research, and luckily we don't have a lot of it with it, we have not seen it with elementary, but research has shown with the younger children it's not good to use the online. They need more of the paper-based still. Kind of like the state's gone back to testing to paper-based.
So when do they start using these new textbooks? Is that,
That'll be next year.
you know?
Mhm.
All right, is there any more public comment in the hearing on the textbook adoption, math textbook adoption? If not, this should conclude the final hearing.
Mhm.
All right, close. Thank you, Ms. Rivers. Item H, we passed. We'll move to the consent agenda. And I think we'll start on this end, Ms. Brooks.
I have thoroughly reviewed all my questions and gone over them, so I do not have any this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keller.
I'm good tonight. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Asbell.
I'm asking them questions for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Asbell. I want to make one comment, I think, and that was on. Yes, we have, where am I?
15.
Yeah. So, as a district, yeah.
Esteem.
That's right.
Yes. So we get an opportunity sometimes in the county to do new things, and I think we're pretty excited about it. We're going to send 3 people to Santa Rosa County for a STEAM visit, which is opportunity, and you might want to explain STEAM.
Stands for science. Most people here are STEM. STEAM has the A, which is the arts, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And this is something I saw through a Santa Rosa presentation. It's been about a year ago, and it was very exciting to hear what's going on in those classrooms. And through the generosity of the foundation, they're supporting some pilot projects in this Williston Elementary School. And so we've had some conversations with some other schools and feeder schools here in Williston and Cedar Key and some different things, but we're going up there and paying a visit to see the schools. So
and how that operates.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, if it is what I've heard in my presentation, it's gonna be exciting. You'll have 3 people excited when they come out.
We hope they come back and pass that information on and it spreads like wildfire.
Matter of fact, I think we'll probably, think it'll be good for them to have a board presentation. What do you think?
I think it'd be great.
Okay, that was all I had to bring highlight to. I didn't, the attorney, I didn't ask if you had comment on the consent agenda. Everything's good?
No.
All right, thank you.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
I'd ask actually.
Yes.
I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've done anything?
I second.
I don't want to skip anything.
I
Thank you.
second Mr. Asbell's.
It's been moved and properly seconded to adopt the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, comments, recommendations?
Just a couple of things. First off, we had, I think, a very productive legislative days, and I'll leave the floor to y'all's comments, but as you know, we've got a legislative platform. We do have a bill that will be filed for we're establishing a committee to review the ESE accommodations that students use and are able to use on the FSA test. It's going to be sponsored by Senator Lunsford and Representative Dean. Stone. Wrong Dean. So it's Representative Stone. And so I'm very excited about that. Done a lot of work on that. But we've our agenda, and I think we got into a lot of doors, talked to a lot of people, and so I thought it was well received, and it was a good day, good couple of days.
Do you know if you remember that one fellow, that lady and the one fellow we met with, he was the policy fellow, and he said we might need to have that FSA changed to another wording. Kim was going to work on that. Do you know?
I haven't had any follow-up conversation.
Yeah, the state testing instead of just FSA. Because we knew what we meant, but he was not that word open.
I believe Kim was going to circle back and see Stone to allow him to make those
I can't remember.
changes happen.
It's on the house.
Yes.
I know that Brad instantly knew he was a law attorney.
But it's a learning process, and I'm very thankful we got up there early in the year, and we did, and I know we have, I think it's April 4th, in that area is the FSBA Legislative Days. And I know that Ms. Clemency, that's going to be a new board training they'll be having up there at that time as well.
Okay.
And so it'll be a good time to follow up with them. One of the other things is that I know last week, or last board meeting, last board meeting, we signed a form to continue the master board training and received an updated form. The one we used had the last year's date on it, so I have an updated form here. If that's so desired, the wish of the board to continue the master board training, all I need is a signature.
That's 7 hours of training. Correct?
Yes, sir, it's 1-day training.
Except for sheet the TSM
Would be a certified
master.
One of the other things is just a lot of times we ask these folks to come by and do a presentation, but there are folks that they don't like doing presentations. So we just heartily shake their hand and thank them for what they do. And as you know, through the Go Through Forest, we don't receive the state taxes on that. So therefore, part of the timber sales we receive. And so I received a check for $49,000 and for our portion, and you know that's not just Levy County, but shared with other counties. So I received a check from the Forestry Service, or Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services for that. So just,
Yeah, that's covered the position.
so, and lastly, out in the newspaper last week, or a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of conversation about graduation rates. So I want to toot our horns a little bit. I have some data to share. So the first page that you see here is the district compared to the state graduation rate. And you can see where our district rate is 87% and the state graduation rate is 86.1%. Okay, and you can see how we come up. Big jump from last year. Okay.
What was last year?
These, Morgan.
79.
Okay. And then you see district graduation rates by subgroup, that's what this is. The third page is a line graph, and it shows district graduation rates by disability status. Whereas you have your non-ESC non-ESC is 89%, the ESC graduation rate is 84.5%. And then we have the graduation rates of each of our schools. And you can see where they are this year and where they were last year. Or excuse me, I gotta take this back. This is last year's graduation data because it's always in arrears. And so this is last year's graduation rates versus the graduation rates the year before. So you can see where Bronson went from 67.9% to 85.3%. And you can see where Cedar Key, and the question is they don't have a bar there. That's because their subgroup is less than 10. Okay? And this last year they had a 100% graduation rate.
You write that down, Mr. Terry. We led, Cedar Key led the district, 100% rating
What's your class size now?
We were 15 this year, 15 strong.
Well, that's a large.
That's right, gonna be a long
We're gonna
graduation.
be there all day.
Bring your fan. I'm sorry, we got AC, never mind.
Yes.
Other places in the county are tough. We run with these.
Cleveland Middle High School, they went from 91.7% to 93.4%. And Williston Middle High School went from 82.9% to 88.3%.
So everybody's up.
So,
Kudos,
we have a lot of folks that work
teachers and students.
real hard. We did make an investment, or youth made an investment in graduation coaches for each of our schools last year. So that, I think that's part of it, but it's just good old fashioned hard work. The teachers doing their job in the classroom, to guidance counselors, to principals, and just to stay on track of it and making sure we don't lose kids. It's because there's a lot of work that goes into these numbers. So, good job. That's it.
That's it. All right. We'll roll into board comments. I think it's on up.
I'll be glad to start because I want to piggyback on Mr. Edison a little bit, okay? Well, I mean, thank you. But he did say we did make an investment, in the graduation coach, and we did, it is turned out great, and it is, graduation rates are up and those things, and so I'm really, really anticipating that the investment that we made tonight and the decision, and we had a lot of discussion, that it really is going to improve our schools, and it's going to improve, and it's going to help our students, and, we don't always know if we're right or wrong, and we spend this money, but we just really, we're doing it for the right reasons and to improve, and so, honestly, that's our goal, and I really feel that strong about it.
Right, well, if that's not our goal, then we're wrong.
Right, we are. And if it's not, you know what? If we make a mistake, we all are human, we do that sometimes, and we'll learn from our mistakes, and we'll do better, and we'll change and, go another path in life, and that happens sometimes, so. But anyway, I've got a long list of Chiefland High School's got a lot of great things happening. But if anybody wants to read it, they will. I'll pass, that's all for tonight.
You talk about graduation coaches. Who's y'all's graduation coach?
Katie Corbin, and she does a fine job.
Where'd she come from? Where'd she
Well, she lives in Chiefland, and she works in Chiefland.
That's okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Calvert.
It's homecoming week for the Sharks, so.
Homecoming game Friday night, correct?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. So,
And what do they do for homecoming?
they've been dressing up just like everybody else. So I think yesterday was superhero and today was nerds and jocks. And so I seen lots of pictures on Facebook and lots of school spirit. Thursday we'll have a little parade around the Big Dock and then have a little bonfire. So don't anybody tell Kayla to wait. So, anyways, So Thursday night, and then Friday, we'll have games, and we'll crown a homecoming king and queen. And it's just a good opportunity. So those kids are working hard and doing really, really well down there. So we started off the new year 19 at a bang, so doing well.
If you've never had the opportunity to miss a Cedar Key basketball game or homecoming, you need to do so. It is a special event. It is a neat thing to see.
Very much so. And I thought we had a productive, I'll echo the superintendent's comments, productive couple days in Tallahassee. So, and I think we're making inroads for our priorities and laying the groundwork for our number one priority and number two. And I think that there was nothing but positive things that we heard there. Appreciate everybody's help and efforts that make that a reality. So, and just wishing everybody back there a new year. So thank you for all your efforts in 18. Looking forward to a bright 19. So.
I just got to make a comment about an individual who does a lot of work, especially on that number one priority. That's meant a lot. There is a lot of work that goes in trying to dot all the i's and cross all the t's that y'all don't ever see. He's a steady conversation with either DOE or our parish call, and a lot of work.
Mr. Lott, when's the next meeting that would?
I'm actually scheduled to do a conference call with Bill Pearson tomorrow, and that's one of the things that we'll talk about. They haven't set one yet. They're trying to get everything in place to make that presentation in Tallahassee, and we've got several things in line, a spot survey for the school. We've got some things that we have to clean up before we do that presentation. So we'll probably decide the next meeting date tomorrow on a conference call.
Good, thank you.
That's it, Mr. Captain?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Edmund?
Thank you, Mr.
Floor is
Etheridge.
yours.
Thank you, Mr. Etheridge. I won't jump on and just be like you. I'm gonna jump on and say, our trip to Tallahassee was great. And the way I say it was great is I can remember my first trip to Tallahassee, myself and Mr. Turner had a conversation about it, that it was an absolute waste of time. We won't name any names, but we met one senator that all he wanted to talk about was keeping the water clean and what the county commission in Lee County was doing.
Put an elevator before us.
Those kind of things. And, and then he wanted to get our picture. And that was just, we're not there for a picture. We're there to get something accomplished. This time when we went, just like the last time, but this time we were there early. We met with some people that they listened to us. We weren't being shuffled out. They listened to us. And when you get those people and they say, that makes sense. Yeah, we need to do something about that. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's solid. I like hearing that. I like what I heard. I like the feel that was in Tallahassee this time. I think we're on the right track for some good things. That was the impression I got. Now, they may blow my mind and go another way. I felt it was a great trip. On the local front, we are right now, last year we did our first year of having distinguished alumni of Bronson High School. We inducted our first set of those folks last year. The committee that's been appointed by all Bronson High School graduates are reviewing the nominees this year. We had 12 nominees this year. We had one person withdraw their name, so 11 are being reviewed to narrow it down to no more than 5. And we will soon be announcing who those folks are. We will have a little reception for them. And their photo and story will go up there for the kids to see that you come through Bronson High School, look at what you can do. I've said this before, I've said this on Facebook, I'll say it anywhere. If you want to get me mad, say, I can't do it because I'm from Bronson. Or say, well, I went to a Lee County school, what do you expect? I don't know no better. You can do anything when you come through our schools, and these people are living proof of it. And we see 3 students at Bronson High School out right there. Those kids are going to do any and everything in this world. I can't wait for 20 years from now to see where those 3 sisters are and what all they've done. And that starts with the education they get here in Lee County. Not just Bronson and Williston education is pretty good too. So there's Cheatham, Cedar Key, and Yankton County that we have the best schools in this state. And
on the board, as everybody knows, this is my second meeting, so you learn more when you stay quiet for a little bit. But I do want to say that Yankeetown had a record number at their SAC meeting recently, this week. So Deb spoke with Danae, and she was very excited about that. First full week of school this week. I feel like everybody's moving in the right direction. Williston Middle is going to compete at districts in Lafayette on Friday, Farley Pro. So it's exciting, wrap up the second part of the year, but that's all I have.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm learning how to step on toes in the city.
No, that's usually what Cameron says to me, so that's why
I didn't have any thunder at all, so I really didn't have a whole lot to say. Just going back a little bit to Christmas, it's been a while since we met.
We have, it has.
But we did, we had a gathering for all the employees, schools in Williston. I think we ended up, we cooked enough food for 300 people and everyone even left over. Yeah, and it was just a good time because we set some ground rules. There's no politics and no talking about work. We did some door prizes and ate, and we had some entertainment. Just, we need to do more of that too outside of the school to get camaraderie. So I think everybody had a good time, and hopefully we'll do it again next year. I wish we could do one district-wide, but I don't know of a facility we have in the county where we can house everybody. So appreciate Mr. Breezy. I didn't paint the chairs. I had him sweating that day. He wanted to deliver some blue chairs to Williston for our deal, and
The blue chairs.
I had him tell him, call back and tell him we were over there with my crew painting red was breaking. Anyway, it was a good break. Seems like a kind of a breath of fresh air to get back started in the school year. You never know what request you're going to get as a school board member. I had an opportunity to buy 800 Krispy Kreme donuts for last Thursday morning. And I was excited to do it because it was proactively thinking, and it's towards tardies and absences, and the kids who hadn't had any more than 3 absences or tardies had an opportunity, I guess, to eat 2 donuts apiece. That'll be one donut apiece, because we did it for middle and high school. So anyway, yeah, it's something different instead of the negative side of it. They're twisting is making the positive aspect of it. So looking forward, thinking ahead. My son didn't get a donut yeah, anyway. So yes, Far Pro High School Williston. Something our district contest coming up this week, and there's a lot of FFA activities fixing to kick off as the new year gets surrounded. I'm sure other schools, and of course Williston, the winter tradition, will continue to pile the trophies as we go throughout the year, Mr. Aswell.
Yeah.
Enter into a new era in Williston with football coaching situation, and we'll see new things coming here in the announcements in the near future.
It's all around the cafe.
Yep. And, yeah, so we look forward to that. I'm not gonna keep going on and on, and you did not steal my thunder. I didn't have any tonight.
I'm learning.
Didn't have any tonight. So, that's, yeah, exactly.
Well, I just want
I
to
just wanna follow on the calendar. She's got anxiety about the calendar. Let's step on this.
Okay, so we're not having our meeting next week, and we're having it the 29th, and it's our regular board meeting at our 9 o'clock time. And then we're having our Chiefland school visit.
Correct.
Okay, and then the 31st, we have our special workshop.
Board workshop, yes, starting at 9 o'clock. We're going to be preparing for that tomorrow with the schools. We've already had some conversation. I can't imagine this one past noon, but.
Thank you.
Is there any other Mr. Will?
I was listening to this a lot, but I didn't, I heard what he said, but I didn't understand. There has been no definite date set for the board to make, for the school district to make presentation on Chiefland Middle High School to the DOE.
Yes.
What meeting was he talking about? Is there some meeting before the meeting that occurs? No? Is that the meeting he was talking about?
What she was talking about was we've been having ongoing meetings with the architect and the builder in the school, and working out different things with the school and the classroom teachers, and just making plans for the construction. So there's a lot of work, a lot of conversations happening.
When do you anticipate the meeting? DOE.
I know the timeline is February.
And that's where you get your ranking.
Well, that has to be the critical need.
Any other? Yes, sir.
I just want to say congratulations to all you guys on those graduation rates. And not tired of coming in here seeing that. That's, every one of you guys deserves a pat on the back for that, so congratulations.
We got full of good news tonight. All right, any other item of business? If not, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Second.